Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. Coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios, joined by Joe Dellera at Joe Dellera, host of the Cash That podcast. You can find him all over the Action Network. And I think making his Buckets debut, the man I have referred to as the best better I know, the king of projections along with Sean Kerner. He's on Fantasy Flex. He's on Action Network Podcast. He does everything. He's been on NBA Bet Stream. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Raybon. Chris, welcome to Buckets, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited. The Knicks are in the conference finals. Let's go.
Should be a good one. We're going to talk Eastern Conference Finals game one in this episode. We'll talk about where the market is at, where it's moved, what our pro tools are saying about the market and where we're headed at. We'll give you best bets for tonight's game. If you're looking to get those bets in before tip off, we got you covered. Props, sides, totals, lots of analysis to get for you here. Glad to have you guys with us. Let's start right here and let's talk about the game. The Indiana Pacers enter this game as 4.5 point dogs at Bet Rivers. That's minus 108. You can catch the Knicks minus 4.5 at FanDuel. This has moved from 4 to 4.5, and that was the resistance point. This moved to that number and has not gone further. It has gone back at a few places, but it's really kind of stabilized there. As far as the action on this, we are seeing 57% of the tickets and 66% of the money are coming in on the New York Knicks. Bing bong to get this taken care of tonight. Take game one at home. I know Joe Dellera is psyched for this game. I know he's so excited for the Knicks to be back in the conference finals. What could possibly go wrong? No sharp action that we're tracking on this game. It looks like it's evened out pretty significantly as far as looks like the sharps are leaving this one at where it lies at 4.5. Looks like that's going to be the closing number. We'll update you in the show if that looks any different. Total on this market at 222. This open 222.5. There's a 221 in the market, so the under is taking some steam here on Wednesday as we get closer to tip off. That'll be one of my best bets is the under on this game. We'll see if the market move works out better for me than it did on Wolves plus 7.5, as that one was like, yay, CLV, you lose by 20. Money line on this one, plus 166 at FanDuel if you want to bet on the Pacers. And DraftKings is minus 180 best price for the New York Knicks. We're going to talk about a number of things on this show. We will talk about all sorts of stuff about, we're actually going to give you an underdog lineup that you can play tonight as well. Chris, interesting numbers here, like small differential, a little bit towards the Pacers in the money. That was earlier. The late money is coming in on the Knicks. They're taking more money here. There was enough sharp action to move it to the Knicks to 4.5 from 4. So there was obviously something in the market where they liked it to push it over that one possession line. Like that to me is kind of the only thing that's kind of key here. No key numbers in NBA, but if you're going to have one, 4, 8, these are your multiple possession lines from 4-point plays, etc. What's your read on how the market has kind of reacted to Knicks Pacers?
This is one where the market is just kind of feeling it out. And you look at the Knicks, they're getting the home field advantage and the home court advantage, excuse me, and then they're getting about another 1.5 to 2 point edge over the Pacers, which, you and I will talk about. I don't know if that should actually be true. I think these teams should be rated pretty evenly. Maybe the Pacers a little bit better. Both of these teams, I think, are playing a little bit differently than they were in the regular season, which is good for both of them. But this Pacer team, I think, is just bound to be underrated because, they come in and they beat a very good Cavs team. I know they were banged up in a couple of spots, but I think people are kind of still sleeping on the Pacers a little bit. And remember, this is a team that loves to run. And they're on they got a lot of rest, and the Knicks like to put. I know they got some rest too, but they like to play their guys long minutes. So I think there's some intangible kind of edges for the Pacers even on the road here.
Joe, you've been keeping an eye on the props market all week. We've we've definitely taken positions in the prop market across buckets. There's some plays that I think everyone's going to be on for this game. I love those community plays from us over here at Action. By the way, I want to let you know, hit a like and subscribe if you're watching this right now, and hit us with your best bets, and we'll talk about them as we get closer in the comments at youtube.com/the Action Network. Joe, as you look at the prop market, what's kind of been your sense for the major moves in the market going into this game?
Yeah, so one of the ones that I jumped out on right away was I liked Cat's points total. It opened at 21 and a half, and it's been bet up to there's some 23 and a halves in the market right now. So that's been a pretty big and pretty popular play. The matchup against the Boston Celtics was a little bit like tougher for him, I think, just based on the defense, the style that they were playing, the coverages that they were throwing at him. But we'll talk about Cat a little bit more. But Cat, his points prop was one that definitely stood out to me based on his history against the Indiana Pacers.
Well, I would just ask this question, Joe. When have you not liked Cat this season? I'm just not sure
Uh,
that there's been a point where you haven't liked Cat this season.
Honestly, it was only when I he wasn't on the Knicks. That was it.
Raybon, last spring when they got eliminated, I said, "Look, I hope you guys enjoyed this because they're going to trade for a superstar in the summer." And they're like, "No, no, no, no! How would you break this up? Like all the continuity." And I was like, "They're going to trade for Cat. Like that's going to happen." Said that in the action Slack after, like during, after the conference finals. I said that, and Joe's exact words were, "I want to die." That was his exact response. And since then, I think not a week has gone by where you haven't bet a cat over at some point. Is that correct, Joe Dellera?
I think that's pretty accurate. And you know what? Honestly, some people would say that, there is life after death and we're going to heaven because we got Cat. So
Life after death. All right. We'll do best bets and give you plays for tonight's game. I do want to let you know that Underdog is one of the best places to make picks during playoff basketball. While they score buckets, you could score cash. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play right now in your state. Their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players. To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like points, assists, and so much more. We love to get in on the steals and blocks. Rebound, that's a big one. Going to be all over those on hires and lowers throughout the NBA playoffs. Once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Josh Hart, Josh Hart, Josh Hart, Josh Hart. That is, I have played Josh Hart a billion different ways over at Underdog, all on hires. Love his spot tonight in this matchup versus the Pacers. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code Buckets100 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Buckets100. It must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. We do have an Underdog lineup that we'll get to after we give the cap on our plays. Let's do that right now. Chris, since you're new to buckets, I will give you this rundown. We go around, we say all of our bets so that people can mark them down. There's going to be quick slips in the episode description here at youtube.com/the action network. Just go to the YouTube description and they will be in there. You'll be able to follow those. Quick slip will open it up for you and you'll be able to tell the bets, whichever ones you like. Chris, you're new. We get to start with you. What are your best bets for tonight's game between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks?
So first up, I'm going with Cat under 1.5 assists. I'm going with the Pacers on the spread at plus 4.5, and I'm going Miles Turner over 2.5 stocks.
I love a good stocks play. I don't think we've had a stocks play on best bets on buckets in the playoffs. You're our first one. I love you doing that, Chris Raybon. Joe Dellera, I know it's going to involve Cat. Tell me what you're on tonight for this game.
I'm on Karl Anthony Towns over 22 and a half points. I still like it there. And I'm grabbing Josh Hart double double. Mr. New York over there.
Love it. Love the Josh Hart double double as well. I'm on everything Josh Hart. Everything. Points, rebounds, assists, double double. I have a triple double ticket. I'll go ahead and say that right now, just in the event that things get crazy. Pacers money line, Pacers plus 4.5. I'm with Chris Raybon there. Sorry, Chris. Under 223.5 is the other one there. And coming off of yesterday's best bets episode for buckets in the podcast version, Mikal Bridges over 3.5 assists. Got that one from Kyle Murray. He likes that angle. Looked at it. This is a terrific one. Very excited about Mikal Bridges over 3.5 assists going into tonight's games. Chris Raybon, let's start with you. Let's go to the cat angle, and we'll go to the negative first, as you always love to root against human achievement. Cat under 1.5 assists plus 100. Give me the cap.
So it's not really negative, but I think Cat is going to be a scorer in this series, as you guys alluded to. And if you look at his assist numbers in the postseason, he's had one or fewer in 10 of the 12 playoff games. You look back in the matchups against the Pacers in the regular season, he was held without an assist in 2 of those 3 games. So well below his averages, both recently and in this matchup. And if you dive deeper into the numbers, he's only passing about 28 times per game now in 35, 36 minutes. That was up around, over, 36 passes, over 1 per minute in the regular season. So you're seeing the underlying numbers go down, and to the point where now he's expected under 3 potential assists on average in the postseason. So when you're under 3 potential, and this Knicks team I think has been actually overachieving in terms of some of their assist numbers, but I expect them to struggle a little bit today. So like Cat to go under 1.5 for the 11th time in 13 postseason games.
Yeah, I don't know what mechanisms he would be getting to actually get these assists. It would have to be like if the Pacers switch and then he posts a smaller player and then they bring help and then he kicks it to the weak side. And none of that are things that are very likely with Indiana's defense, how the Knicks play, how Towns approaches those matchups, or what he does when he gets those. So like none of those sequences, and his like passing completion mark there would not be very high. If he's gonna pick and pop most of the time, if they're gonna try and put 2 on ball to contain Brunson, that pick and pop action, even if they send a defender up, it's not, he doesn't get the direct assist. It's he swings it and then there's another pass on the interior and they score. So it would be secondary assist, not primary. So can't hate on this at all. I like this play. It's a smart one, especially given the numbers that you laid out there, Chris. Joe Dellera. Chris thinks he's going to be a scorer. Why do you think Cat's going to be a scorer over 22.5 points?
Yeah, I mean, he's just completely cooked this Pacers team throughout not only this season, but it also even dated back to when he was with the Timberwolves. So this season, he scored 21, 30, and 40 points against the Indiana Pacers. And his last game against the Pacers as a Timberwolf, he also scored 40 points. So he's really been a matchup nightmare, I think, for this Indiana Pacers team. They don't have anybody that's like a perfect fit for what he kind of brings to the table. And they also don't really invert any of their matchups. They're generally playing Miles Turner on him, but at the same time, I think Miles Turner, great defender, he's still going to get, some of his opportunities like Chris is going to talk about in terms of getting stocks and opportunities like that. But Cat is still a much bigger player. He still can put up some boards, and get on the offensive glass, get a couple putbacks, which is what he's done against both Boston and Detroit. I just think it's a major positional mismatch overall for Karl Anthony Towns. And given the fact that he's found a ton of success in this matchup before, I want to continue to ride that. I don't think we're going to see anything extremely nuanced in game 1 in terms of offensive game plan from New York.
I have a lot of these Knicks over opportunities, and yet I'm on Pacers and the under. And like the more I did that immediately, like those the side and total were the first bets I made based off a model and kind of what I think of the matchup. And then it's like I've done more analysis. I've been like, oh, I like that next play. Oh, I like that next play. Oh, I like that next play. So Raybon, I'm pretty shook at this point as we get closer to game 1. I need you to settle me down and give me the cap for Pacers plus 4.5.
Yeah. So, and first of all, I mean, Knicks overs are never really a bad look because their starters play so many minutes that you're gonna get overs and wins, losses, ties. I mean, but in all seriousness, so with the Pacers here, listen, I got a lot of respect for them. Beating that Cavs team. I think that being in the conference finals 2 straight years is something that's a bit overlooked, and now you have 2 non-top 2 seeds going at it here in this conference finals, and I think that right now everyone's just looking at the home team and saying, okay, the Knicks, they beat the Celtics. I know Tatum got hurt in that one, but I feel like people are a little bit more impressed with the Knicks. But a couple of red flags for me. Number one, Pacers love to run. Knicks have been playing long minutes, dating back to last postseason. And if you look back in the history, last 2 decades, teams with a week or more of rest are over 66% against the spread. They're 21-10 against the spread with 8+ days of rest, which the Pacers have. And then you look at the lower seeded team in the conference finals over the last 2 decades, 126, 97, and 2 against the spread. That is 56%. And again, this matchup, I think, is still, it's a toss-up. And so I want to kind of take these points with the Pacers now, while they're being what I think a little bit overlooked. And remember, they won a game 7 at the Garden last season. So this is a Pacer team you can't really sleep at. They've shown they can win on the road in this postseason and last. So like the Pacers in this spot. And I know, Matt, you'll kind of talk about some of their metrics kind of stack up with the Knicks, if not, kind of surpass them.
Yeah, so it was kind of surprising when I started to dig in. I did this for the guide you can read on Action Network and the Action Network app. The Pacers have a better half-court offense in the playoffs. They have a better half-court defense in the playoffs. They had a better half-court offense in the regular season. They had a better half-court defense in the regular season. A lot of these are just, they stack up really well. It was tempting for me to be worried about the Pacers because they have the best effective field goal percentage in the NBA playoffs. They're shooting the lights out. But when I looked at the expected mark, they're still expected to have a higher EFG than what the Knicks have produced. And a lot of that's because the Pacers have been more willing to take threes than the Knicks have, which continues to boggle my mind that you have Karl Anthony Towns and you're like, let's not shoot threes. The Pacers are awesome at just taking whatever it is that you give them and then twisting the knife with that. They're so good in those types of situations. I have some trends, courtesy of Brandon Anderson, who helped me out with this, NBA futures analyst. Carlisle on the road, 34, 23, and 2. That's the most profitable coach in Bet Labs. Carlisle's a road dog, 34, 21, and 2. Most profitable in Bet Labs. Carlisle's a road dog on the money line, 25 and 32 straight up, 52% ROI, the second most profitable in our system. Tibbs as a favorite in terms of seeding, 27 and 34 ATS, third least profitable. The coaching matchup, I think, is massive here. I make this Knicks minus 0.7. I'm on overtime games in this series because I make this literally Knicks by less than a point. So I like the Pacers here. I have to be on them. I'm on the under based off of, I project this at 218. The Pacers defense, I think, is a lot better than people realize. The idea is that the Pacers just are like, well, they play with, Pacers, pace, and they play so fast. They play up tempo, which is very different than fast. They have actually fewer transition possessions per game than the Knicks do in these playoffs. The Knicks get out and transition more. The Pacers just keep an up tempo and make you work through their possessions over and over and over again. They start the clock on you. You're going to have to defend them at 20 seconds all the way through about 7 to 4 seconds left on the clock. That's where they want to get to. They want to make you work that whole possession. Meanwhile, on the other end of it, they speed you up by picking you up faster and they force you to take quicker shots, which oftentimes are worse shots, which lowers the total. So under 223 is going to be 23.5 is going to be one of my best bets for this game as well. It is time, Joe Dellera. We must talk Josh Hart, which Josh Hart double-double might wind up being the official Action Network prop of this round, just as Jalen Williams' assists over was that in the last round. Talk to me about why you love Josh Hart so much in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all over Josh Hart, even from a series prop perspective. So if you want to grab some of those, I'm on 10 plus rebounds per game. That's at like plus 210 out there. And then I'm also on him to get six rebounds in every game. And that's about minus 110 in the market. So I think it's a great series for Josh Hart. He's been excellent against Indiana. And this season, he's had double doubles in all 3 games against the Pacers. And over the last 2 seasons, including the playoffs, outside of the one game where I think he had an injury issue, he's played 12 games where he's been healthy, 14.2 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 8 double doubles. So 8 out of 12 is pretty solid, honestly. And he's usually just missing because of the points sometimes with the scoring. He's been scoring the basketball great. I think he's coming off a good series against the Boston Celtics where they gave him plenty of opportunities to kind of get into an offensive rhythm. I think you can maybe translate that into the spot. So when you're getting a number That's a plus money number on Josh Hart, and it's a pretty significant jump up from the rebounds line where you're getting about like minus 110, like standard juice. And for the double double, you're adding the points, but you're getting about plus 150. I really like it for Josh Hart. I think that this is going to be a good spot for him. This New York team, they obviously got bounced by the Indiana Pacers last season. Josh Hart was one of the few bodies left that was somewhat healthy at the end of that series. I think that I was a little bit concerned about a letdown spot in this game. At the same time, I think this team is going to be pretty fired up and want to kind of get some revenge off of that loss last season, where I think they really thought they should have won the series had the team not literally exploded by game 3 and 4.
The the rebounding angle is pretty obvious with how much the Pacers, as you mentioned, get killed on the glass. That's pretty obvious. The one that I found, the Pacers have the fifth highest and the highest of the four teams remaining in points allowed off of cuts. And the reason I think this matters, that's never going to be like a huge amount of possessions, but think about how Josh Hart gets his points. Like think about how many times you've seen Josh Hart on a slip cut, defense breaks down, he crashes in. Think about how many putbacks he gets on those like quick little moves. And especially I'll say this, if they try and hide Tyrese Halliburton on Josh Hart, Hart's going to attack that on these cuts really hard, and Halliburton is a little bit more prone to falling asleep. So I think there's a great opportunity for him to both score and rebound at the same time here. Raybon, you got any objections to that look?
Nah, not at all. I mean, Josh Hart, you know what he does come playoff time.
Well
You know
said.
his work.
Uh, Bridges over 3.5 assists. This one was one we talked about yesterday on buckets. Kyle Murray had projections that had Bridges over for points and assists, and that's entirely possible. But when I looked up the numbers against Indiana, Bridges gone over this number in 8 straight matchups, and that's enough to get me on over Mikal Bridges 3.5 assists. Somebody else is going to have to be another guy for the Knicks here. They're going to get somebody else involved. It can't just be Brunson and Cat the whole way. So it's either going to be OG. I think Josh is going to contribute in all those like those small ways and those little margin moves. It might be OG Anunoby on post ups versus switches, but even then, I think it's possible that Bridges is still able to go over on his assists, even if he's not acting as primary initiator. But he's been doing that a lot in these playoffs. So I love that angle of Mikal Bridges over 3.5 assists. Chris Raybon, Miles Turner over 2.5 stocks. What do you like there?
Yeah, so Miles Turner has just been on a tear with these steals and blocks. He usually doesn't get many steals, but for the postseason, he's gone over this number in 7 out of 10. And the blocks have been off the hook. 2.5 blocks is leading all postseason players. He's averaging 3.2 steals plus blocks for the postseason. And if you just go back over the last 2 months, he's been over 2.5 steals and blocks in 15 of 23. And if you just have blocks at your book, he's going over 3 blocks or over 2.5 blocks, without even a steal. A ton of the time too. So I like that as well, but really like Miles Turner to just keep it up here. I think he's going to be very active. And, one thing we didn't even mention, in talking about this matchup and why we like the Pacers is that when you look at the 5-man lineups, regular season, the Pacers starting unit was, over a 10.0 net rating, and the Knicks were like 2.9. And in the playoffs, the Knicks 5-man unit actually has a negative net rating, and the Pacers are still, up there in double digits. So Miles Turner and Siakam, best Pacer 2-man lineup in the postseason at plus 16.2. So I think Turner is going to have to be active, and he's a difference maker for this team. I think that he's one of the keys. Kind of goes a little bit overlooked with, Halliburton and Siakam and then the wings, but I think he's going to be key here.
So we did something similar on we did a parlay yesterday on buckets that was heavy on the Knicks. We're gonna come back here a little bit on the Pacers. I'm sorry, Joe, I am doing this to you. We're gonna get the Pacers on the money line here and do a little bit of an inverse correlated parlay. Pacers on the money line plus 166 at FanDuel with Karl Anthony Towns 20 plus and Josh Hart 10 plus rebounds. We're going to throw those two in, and that gets us to a 3-leg parlay at plus 612 on the inverse corollary there. Pacers money line, Towns 20 plus points, Josh Hart 10 plus rebounds. The Knicks get the stats, the Pacers get the win. That's going to be our parlay here on buckets. We're going to do an underdog lineup for you because underdog, as we mentioned, is a great place for you to play on all these highers and lowers. And our lineup's going to be Cat higher on points, 22.5. Hart with the double double. Turner higher on 2.5 blocks from Chris Raybon. And Cat lower on 1.5 assists from Chris Raybon because I trust Chris Raybon with my life. I trust both these guys with my life betting. 4.27 is your max play there on Underdog and a 1.42 with the flex play at Underdog Sports. That's going to do it for Buckets pregame. Appreciate you guys being with us. My thanks to Gifford Gould producing the show. Hope you guys liked it. Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back post-game to react to this game, look at the market and where it's moved after this one. We'll talk about the game, the details, the X's and O's, but mostly the market and where these props pop up after the game. My thanks to Chris Raybon. You can find him on the Action Network podcast and in the Action Network app, as well as Joe Dellera on the Cash That podcast at Joe Dellera in the Action Network app and on Twitter. Enjoy Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1 between the Pacers and the Knicks. Let's get buckets.